Okay, today we have the Mangin team, Shannon and Tyler. They are social media gurus. I've been following them for a long time. What market are you guys in again?
Austin, Texas. I have it up above here if you can't see it.
I knew that. I was just making you say it because I know Texas
Yes.
are very proud and they want to say where they're from, right? From Austin, Texas. I believe you guys have a team too, right?
It's just my husband and I. I'm more the person on social, but I will rope Tyler into our social media. He does it reluctantly, but I know that whenever he's in a video, those are the videos that like take off the most and get the best views. So, but yeah, it's
Tyler's
just the two of us and a TC, and then we have like a VA that helps us with like YouTube videos.
So you got a couples team going now. I think a lot of people probably struggle getting that going. So it's actually very admirable. I actually was dating a girl a long time ago, and she was a realtor as well, and I was just mad because she never brought any leads, and I brought all the leads. So
We
tell
work
us a
it
little
out.
bit, yeah, tell us a little bit how you guys got started, how long you've been in real estate. We'll start there. How long when you started doing social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I used to be a teacher. That was like my background was education. And then when I got married, I moved from San Antonio to Austin and just was kind of looking for like a different career change. And so in 2017, I finally quit my full-time teaching job and got into real estate full-time. And then my business started taking off like strong enough where my husband then was able to quit like right before the pandemic in 2020, which was probably not the best timing for us, but it worked out. And so we've been, doing this full time since then. Yeah.
Was Tyler in the field first, and then you joined him with it, or were you doing it? Who
No,
did it, or you did it at the same
no,
time?
I was doing it. He was a software engineer. So we had two completely different careers. His parents a long time ago had been in real estate. And so it was just something, I was like I said, I was kind of looking for something completely different. And then he had been doing software engineering for over 20 years and was just completely burned out by it. Just like
Yeah.
crazy long hours. They want you to work all night, like get this done by tomorrow and stuff. And so he just wanted something with a little more flexibility. And so he joined me in 2020. And then I would say that's also when I really started working on social. Like I had an Instagram account where I was just posting, mostly little pictures and stuff, some reels when they came out, but not much. And so when 2020, of course, everything shut down, like me and a lot of other agents at that time were like, okay, maybe I should start getting into video a little more seriously.
Yeah, I think that's the time where most people got into video. 2020 is when really started getting into video. You're also in Tom Ferry coaching, I believe, right?
Yes.
Because I saw
Yeah.
you at Elite Retreat last year. That's where we first met in person, I think.
Right.
We have a picture together. Can you tell us a lot of people dabble in debate coaching. That's a big question people have asked. Have you done coaching? Like, what's the benefit of coaching? Do I need coaching? I think people here would love to hear your experience with coaching, what you recommend. We're not pushing for Tom Ferry, just coaching in general.
Yeah. No, I think it's super important. Like my background, so I was a teacher originally. I taught like fourth grade, and then I did instructional technology training for teachers, and then I was an instructional coach. So I would coach like new to profession teachers, teachers that were burned out, like team leads, just trying to like get in there and like inspire them and help them to like keep going. And so I had that kind of coaching background and switching to a completely different industry, I was just like shocked at like there's no help. And I was at first like at this big brokerage and I just remember being like I got my first listing lead because I'd gone out and like door knocked and did all this stuff in my neighborhood. And so I ran into the office and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, someone wants me to come and do a listing presentation." Like I have no idea what to do. And they were just like, "Have you booked an appointment to talk with one of the brokers?" And I was just like, "I just need help." Like I was used to like people running in like a teacher were always like willing to share and whatever and it's a little more interactive and so I was so lost like at that first big brokerage that I was like no wonder everyone fails in their first 5 years like no one makes it and so I switched to a different office that had a small group. So I had a broker there that was really like a mentor with just like 6 agents total. And so I felt like I kind of got the nurturing I needed. And then she had told me about Tom Ferry. So I started going to a couple of his little like seminars and trainings. And then I was just like, I have to do this. So At the time I had no money, but I saved up. I was like, as soon as I get this amount, like I'm going to do coaching. And it's like, for me, it's a game changer. I definitely need it. I have that kind of personality where it's like, I want to get like pushed by someone. Same thing going to a gym. If I work out by myself, I barely do anything. But if someone's like in a group class telling me, okay, you got to do this, I'm like, all right, I can do it. So it's definitely launched me to like levels where I never even thought I would be in my business at this point.
Okay, that's a big thing I think people struggle with. They come from a career where there's some structure. Like when you're teaching, there's like a teacher's guide they're giving you kind of thing, right? Like Noelle was actually in the group. She was a professor, I believe. Noelle. Giancarlo used to be a bouncer at a women's strip club. Um, like they had all this structure before they got into real estate. They come into real estate and it's like, what do I do now? Like you join a brokerage and you're like, where do I begin? Right? And a lot of people struggle with that. Do I door knock? Do I cold call? Do I make funny content? Do I make memes? Where the hell do I begin? And
Yeah,
so I agree you should either join a team or do coaching your first year. I think
for
so. At
sure.
least just and look at it as a schooling. Don't look at your splits on the team. Who cares if you're paying half of your commission or whatever? Just you're learning. Look at it as school, right?
Yeah. And I look at it like people are like, oh, it's expensive. Okay, to be a teacher, I had to go to a university, do student teaching. It's like you actually had to go get a degree, which is very expensive. With real estate, I think I paid $600 to get like, I mean, it's almost like getting a degree for $600. But there's no training or anything. It's like you just pass the dumb test and that's it. So I look at, I invested in coaching and I now make about 10 times what I did as a teacher, which is completely mind-boggling and shows how poorly teachers are paid. And that would still be the hardest job I've ever done is teaching. So I'm like, just invest into this career, look at it. I look at it as like getting a degree or something like a master's or whatever. It's just having that extra guidance.
For the record, she's in America. American teachers are paid a lot less than Canadian teachers. I'm not going to say they're not paid well here, but I know they are paid a lot worse in America. Just for our Canadian teachers that are listening, if they are.
We're like,
Just kidding.
wow, I must be
Yeah.
rich. I'm like, no.
So coaching has 10x, as they say, your career, you're saying, and coaching's not cheap. So it's a scary thing for people to jump into, especially when you don't have a consistent paycheck. You're coming into something. You don't have to tell us what you pay for coaching now, but like when you jumped into it, what were you paying roughly?
That was years ago, and I did like there's different tiers with Tom Ferry, and so I mean every coaching thing might be the same, but it was like 600 a month, which now doesn't seem like a huge deal, but that was like a big deal when I hadn't sold a whole lot of stuff. I was just like, oh my,
That's still a lot to most,
that's a
like,
lot of
yeah.
money,
For a lot of
so
people, that's a lot, right? Like 600 to just throw out when you're new, that's 6, 7 grand a year.
yeah,
No, so it's still scary for a lot of people, but if like you're saying, if that can make you 70 grand,
yeah. I
if
mean,
that can make
like
you
I said,
40 grand your first year, it's worth it. You know what I mean?
yeah, and like I said, my career, like I can tell it's like it keeps going up, up, up. And I really feel like without that, it's not just the coach, but it's like seeing other people who are way more successful because you think, oh, okay, I'm like the top of my office. But then you go into coaching and you're like, oh my God, like I'm down here. How are these people doing this? And they're like half my age and whatever, you just see what potential people are doing. And then I like the fact that people share. And I think that's like a huge thing is I from a teaching side, that's why I like doing webinars and stuff because I'm like, I'll give whatever. If anyone asks me a question, I'm like, here's how you do it. This is what I did. I'm willing to like share everything, with whoever. So
That's why I mute Chris Benjamin because he's always making me feel bad about myself because he's doing so well. I thought I was doing well until I met him. Um, what was I gonna say? So yeah, coaching, the big thing is, yeah, you can get all this information for free online, that a lot of the coaching, but the big thing I find people are getting is it accountability that you get from coaching that keeps you going? Like you feel more like you have to do these things and put them into practice, or kind of walk us through what you think. We won't stay in coaching the whole time. It's just something we haven't really talked about in
yeah,
the mastermind, and we'd love to learn a bit more about.
well, like in my office, I had reached a point just at my broker's office where I was like the top producer and and she's just like, wow, you made it. And I'm kind of like, okay, cool. And I was doing way, again, compared to being a teacher, I was like making a whole bunch more. But then with coaching, you see people that are on stage that are like Chris or whatever, and it's like their careers have just like taken off and they're doing like way, way more. And they're also doing less hours, like they figured out smarter ways of doing it. And so I'm just, to me, you just come out of that and I'm just like, well, why couldn't I try that? Like, why couldn't I do that? And so it always like pushes you forward. And it got to the point where I ended up like personally just kind of outgrowing that brokerage where I was at, that small team. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to venture out, do something different on my own, and we're still like growing and growing. So it kind of helps you see there's not really limits that you might see if you're only exposed to what six other people are doing in the whole market, and you're like, wow, I'm doing the best. Like that doesn't show you what everyone, like the full potential of what you could do, if you wanted with this career.
Especially if you're in a small market, it's probably easy to go into coaching and find so many things that no one in your market's doing and stand out very quickly. Another thing I think people don't put into consideration with coaching is the referrals, because you guys
Yeah.
build a bit of a referral network when you do this, right? I don't know how it is the Tom Ferry one when it's a lot bigger, but I know
Yeah,
some
I
like
mean,
networks and group stuff, people have been able to build a lot of referrals out of it too, right?
yeah, agent referrals are big for us. We did like 11 last year. Most of those came from Tom Ferry. And I wouldn't say like you join and it's like magical, everyone just sends you referrals. Like you have to build a reputation. So you have to like contribute and share and be someone where you're like a recognizable name. And so I try to do that. I connect with people on social, like attend networking events. Like people always think I'm like at a realtor conference and stuff, but I did so much business just from meeting people, like shaking hands, saying hi to people, having lunch with people, that they're like, oh, Austin, Shannon, and so all of the transactions we have right now that are under contract and most of my listings coming up are all agent referrals. So it's just kind of snowballs, and it's being part of like a community and a network. I think that's huge, but you definitely have to work it. I have heard people complain like, I joined this coaching thing and I haven't gotten one referral, and it's like, well, people don't know who you are. So they're not just like dishing out leads. Like you still have to like interact with people.
It's still real estate. It takes time.
Yeah.
Like it's not nothing
Yeah.
is magical in anything in real estate.
For-
Um, and you're great at that. Like I said, you're my favorite person from Texas in general because when I met you at was it Elite Retreat last year?
Yeah.
You're the first person to recognize me, whereas Derek had like 10 already that day. And I was with Derek, so I got to brag all day that someone recognized me from social media. So you gave me those bragging rights. I shoved it in his face the entire day. He had like it was 10-1, but I still had
And
that one
actually,
over him.
I wanted to take a picture with you. I wasn't even like, I was like, I know who Derek is. When I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
you're
like,
like Sean
oh
King. You
my
didn't say Derek, and
God.
I had that over him the rest of the day. It was the
You know why? Because Sean King always follows back and Derek never
Yes.
does.
Yes.
there you go. Derek doesn't fall, but Derek had me destroyed that whole week.
That's
It was still fun. Kristen, I think you had some social media. We wrote. If you see me glance at my phone, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at questions. Kristen, you had some good social media questions if you want to come in.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, well, I know when I came on your mastermind, we talked a little bit about finding your voice and finding who you are and like getting away from that fake professional persona that so many agents feel like they have to put on. Like, what was it for you? Like, what was your point where you were like, okay, I've got to scrap the just listing, just sold being fake part of your persona?
Yeah. So when I first became a real estate agent, I was like, I again went to a Tom Ferry event. This was like way back in 2019 or something. It was before like Reels and everything came out, but he was just like, you have to have a business Instagram page. And I did not. So I was like, okay, I used Instagram, but I just like put that out there. And then I made the mistake. I looked up like the most elite agents in Austin. I was like, I'm gonna see what they're doing. And everyone had these like gorgeous, like beautiful headshots with these big $1 million homes behind them. And I was just like, oh crap, like that's what I need to look like in order to in order to be successful. So I like, worked on Canva, getting all these little graphics and everything. And what I realized though is like, oh, again, with coaching and everything and like really talking to people who are actual content creators, a lot of those people I was looking at, they don't use Instagram at all to generate leads. Like it's just like a thing. They probably have an assistant posting stuff out there. So there's not really any engagement. It's just more like, look at us, look at us, look at us, look at us. And so I made the mistake of doing that, for the first couple of years. And then I started, doing more video where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do these videos, but they were very like awkward where I was sitting like this and I'm just like, hi, this is Shannon Mangin with such and such brokerage, and I'm going to tell you about the Austin real estate market. And I even like put like the little headline, like it was like a news update across the bottom. And they were just cringy. I hated them. I hated making videos. And So finally, what I did is I actually hired a blogger, like a third party, just a person who was a local Austin influencer. She had a foodie blog that I loved. And then I saw she was doing social media coaching. So I hired her and paid her a pretty good chunk of change to look at my Instagram page and like what I was doing. And I said, you know, my question is I wanted a local Austinite that's not a real estate coach because they, you know, I felt like a fresh perspective. And I was like, if you found my page online, would you pick me to be your real estate agent to sell your home? And I wanted her to do an audit. And so she looked back at it and she came back a day later and she's like, okay, I would not hire you. And I was like, why? And so she's like, well, you look like every other agent. Your account's really stuffy and kind of boring. And she's like, I don't know anything about your personality. I don't know, like, I don't even know what part of Austin you work in. She's like, tell me about yourself. So we kind of chit chatted and stuff. And she's like, I just, at the end of the day, when I bought my home, she said, I just wanted an agent that I could talk to and that I could relate to. And so she's like, I just see everyone's like just sold, just listed, and it's like all about them. And she's like, I need to know what's in it for me. So we did this whole exercise of like kind of breaking down my page. And I would say that like the two biggest questions that like helped me kind of like reframe it was um one was come up with 5 adjectives of how you wish your ideal client would describe you. And so like whatever, you know, it is. That was like it seems like a simple question, but that was hard. Like I had to really think about it. So like my top 5 adjectives, if someone was giving me a perfect review. And what I realized is like I was so focused on I just want to look successful so people would call me, you know, because everyone's like, have you sold any houses when you get your license? And I was like, I was just trying to prove like, yes, I can sell houses. But I was missing the part of like I'm fun, I'm down to earth, I'm like very easy to get along with. You know, my husband and I both have like easygoing personalities. We are very professional and, you know, successful, but you know, I was missing like the whole fun part of our personality. And then the second question that she asked was to come up with 5 emotions or adjectives of how you want someone to feel when they're on your page. And that was kind of a weird question too, because I'm like, I don't know. Like I never given any thought whatsoever to how someone would feel on my Instagram page. And so what I'm really wanting is that for every video for me, like I want them to either feel educated, inspired, or entertained. Like those are kind of my 3 content pillars. And then I want them to view me as an expert. So I still want a sense of trust. And then overall, I want like joy. Like I want my page to be happy and kind of upbeat and fun, even if the market is sucky. Like there's still some kind of positive spin you can put on a video. Even if people are getting beat up in multiple offers, like you could show something where I'm like making fun of like the horrible multiple offer situation, but then it's like, you know, read the caption for hope, or like here's 3 ways to fight this, or you know, or whatever. So I'm always trying to give like a positive spin on whatever's happening in the market. And I would say like by doing that, just like shifting my focus to, okay, who is my ideal client? How do I want them to feel? How do I want them to think about me? That is where I saw like this big transformation.
So you probably were
So,
able to
oh,
take your page from just being like boring professional to actually something that's capturing leads for you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we get about a third of our business from Instagram. This last market was like slow. Austin's been in a very down market, which is different from a lot of the country. Like our prices went way down in 2022. So 2023 was a hard market, but we closed 11 deals that came directly from Instagram, and then like a few others that ended up being rentals, but like next year I know I'll get them. And then I have a whole bunch in the pipeline that we're just like, oh, we're just going to wait for the spring. So I feel like, you know, this year we'll probably get more than that. But it's still like a pretty good solid lead source from us. And you know, it's just like I said, it takes time to build it and everything, but the more you can like figure out who your audience is first. You know, I didn't really have a clear audience or whatever. And now I'm really looking for sellers or people that are like second time homeowners that are wanting to upsize or downsize in the west side of Austin in the suburbs. That's where we live. And so like talking to that person, like I'm not going to talk about what is an FHA loan or how do I get down payment assistance. Like my ideal client already owns a home that's probably 700,000. they're going to want to upsize and get that home that's like 900,000, but they're worried like, can I really afford this? Oh my God, should I, what can I get if I sold? Like, how do I move without moving twice? Like, those are all the things that they're going to want to know about. And so I, started just talking like to that ideal person and then putting my own fun spin on it. So I love like music, if I can pull in like a 90s song, something just kind of like funny, do a skit or whatever. Things that I would have done in a classroom with kids, like you have to make it fun when you're trying to teach something. The more I did that, I would say that's where I could see all of a sudden like the engagement went through the roof. And it's like I started getting more and more followers, and it's organic. I'm not doing like paid ads or anything like that. But it's, it just takes time to kind of find your style, find your voice. But like once you figure it out, then like it will start taking off for you.
So I think if you even get one deal a year off Instagram, that's a win. So 11's a huge win, especially in last year's market. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, especially starting out, if you can pull anything off Instagram, that's huge. So 11's not anything to downplay at all. Um, when you shifted to more approachable content, I think a lot of people are realizing that they've gotten a lot more traction off Instagram rather than showing that they sell a lot of houses or whatever, because the average consumer doesn't know or care. They don't know the difference. The fact that you don't post that you sold a lot, they have no idea that that doesn't mean you sold a lot or if you sold a lot. They just want to know that they can approach you, that you're in real estate and be remembered you're in real estate. Like, I wouldn't know a car salesman that he sold a lot of cars just because he's posting cars sold. I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know if that's good. I wouldn't even remember because I don't care. Right. So I don't know. What's your kind of your feedback on that? Like for people worrying
Yeah,
about.
so what I really started doing, and I would say this is where I do get a lot of agent referrals from, and like referrals from friends and Sphere and everyone who's following me, is instead of saying like just sold and making it about me, like we got this client 50,000 because we did, this, and I took photos and I did this and I did that. Tell the story of the person. Like, here's our client so and so, and it could be like a video recap with a voiceover, and they're like getting their keys, and I'm taking the pictures, and they're like excited, whatever, but like tell their story. Like they, decided to sell their home and upsize to bring in their parents to their home, because people relate to that, because they're like, I mean, I just moved and bought a home because I have elderly parents I may have to move in the next couple of years. And so that was kind of a scary thing, but it's like, okay, we did it. A lot of other people did that. Or they're moving here from Seattle because they want to be closer to their grandbaby, and so take a picture of like the whole family, whatever, and just show the story. And we found them this home. We were, whatever, if something went wrong, their contract they fell out of contract twice on the listing side, but we finally got them a really great deal. And because of that, they got this house, and it kind of, I think, puts the emphasis on the client and making it more of a client-centered thing, which one of the feedback that I got from the blogger, she said it's all about you. It's more like a self-centered page. And like that really hurt me because I'm a very like giving person. Like I care so much about people. And I was
You
like,
are
oh,
super selfish. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
I,
kidding.
I apparently, but from her perspective, like I said, from a non-real estate agent, I was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, everyone's just like, I just did this. She's like, I get you're successful, you sell houses, but like, how are you gonna like, how do you help me? So, telling stories is huge. Even just celebrations, like, it could be just music and I'm like throwing a key and they're catching it, whatever, but it's just showing like the joy people feel, the relief. Sometimes I'll do interviews with the clients just at the closing table, and I'm just like, okay, what are you most excited about with your house? And you just like film them, or what was it like working with the Mangin team, and just get them to say something. And you can post, I can honestly like take one closing and get like 4 or 5 videos out of it, because I can talk about the market and like, I could tell like the money they made and, all this stuff, but then I can also capture the emotion. I can, there's so many different plays on what they did, or their testimonial. I did one where it was just someone wrote me this really long, heartfelt testimonial, and I put it to music. And I'm kind of like dancing through the whole thing because it's like a really long testimonial. And so I put like a really long song that just keeps going on and on. But it's just, just find like fun ways of putting your client into the center of that just sold story.
One thing that you did in the fall that I thought was really awesome, and I'm not sure how many people in the group right now follow you, but you sold your own house and built
Yes.
a new house. And it was kind of like a case study, the way you talked about it and like showed all the things you did to get your place ready and said, like, I know now's not the ideal time to be buying and selling, but this is why my family did it. Can you talk to us
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the more I can document what's happening in my own life, I would say it's also been huge. Honestly, the biggest way that I get business is in my stories, not so much just like reels and posts, but in my stories is where most of my interaction comes, because that's when people reply, it's a DM, it's a direct message. So the more I can get people in my stories and asking questions, that's huge. So I would post, I was like, okay, we decided to sell our house. I did not listen to my own advice. I went out and found a house without even like knowing if I was qualified or anything. Like we just were out showing clients a home, and we had these clients that were looking at this one area, and I was just like, oh my God, I love this area. And I kind of talked to Tyler about it. And so fortunately they didn't end up buying there, but like we jumped in. I was like, I love this. And so it was just that moment of panic. And it's like what every client hates, or what every realtor hates, when someone's like, I want to buy this house. And it's like, okay, like they want to put an offer and they haven't even like listed theirs and they don't even know anything. And you're like, all right, let's back up a little bit. But I just documented that. I put it into my stories. I had people like voting. I even put like we hated the light fixtures that came with the builder. They put some really like cheap, ridiculous looking light fixtures. And so I was taking pictures of them and having people like vote, like help me pick out our light fixtures, and just making it kind of like interactive, like a game. We do that a lot also if we're out with clients. Like I try to turn it into like an HGTV like show or game. So I'm like, I'm out showing homes today in North Austin. We've narrowed it down to like the top 3. Here's what I think, the clients are like kind of torn between. And I think I know what they're going to pick, but I want to know what you guys think. What would you pick? And I'll just put like, it could just be a screenshot, like a picture of the 3 houses from the front, and just let them, give them like a little short description, like an HGTV show would do. It's like, do you want the cottage house? Do you want this house or that house? And get people voting. And I will, on those types of things, sometimes get 80 to 90 people voting
Wow.
on just like, what house do you think my client picked? And then it's really funny because like I do it kind of live, like as we're going. So sometimes like hours could go by before we finally like make the decision, and people would be texting me, what did they pick? Did your clients like pick something? And I'm like, okay, hold on. Like they're still debating it. But it just shows you like how engaged people are with like the behind the scenes of your life and like the day-to-day stuff in real estate. And so I would definitely emphasize that, like, don't always think that you have to do this like rehearsed, edited, perfect little video. Just go on, like, whatever. It doesn't matter if you don't have makeup on or whatever, just be like, hey, I'm doing this right now and I want to know what you guys think, and just put stickers on it. And that is like the best form of engagement like ever, is just getting your audience voting.
People love reality TV. I
Yes,
think.
that's it.
And the less polished it is, the better.
She means
Yeah.
Instagram stickers, not real stickers. Don't be putting stickers
Yes.
all over your phone. What's it called? Do you people are having a rough time. Everyone's trying to make agent content now to be funny, and they're not really focused on local content to get more local followers a lot more now too. Where do you think the balance stands with that? Should you be focused more on agent to agent content, trying to be funny, doing local content, doing memes? What do you think? Or do you think it just depends on the person?
It depends on your situation. Like there's some people that own big teams, and obviously like they're trying to grow their team and grow their brokerage. So it makes sense if you're like, here's how, if you're putting out a lot of agent content because you are growing like a mega team or you're a coach or whatever, and like your agents are your ideal audience. For me, my ideal audience is someone that wants to buy or sell in the Lake Travis area, Dripping Springs area. So my content is always aimed at that client. Now I will post that, like, hey, I'm doing a webinar today, or I host a monthly webinar about Instagram with different people. So I will post about that. I
I
will
was on
post
it.
Yes. You were my first guest, you and Kristen. So
Nice.
yeah. And I do what I would call occasionally like funny, like realtor life humor. So it's just like the relatable feelings of like, I don't know, like your clients offer got accepted, or this happened, or that happened, or just like stress that happens in real estate. I can post something like that. My goal is not to necessarily attract tons of agents, but I'm just, it's still showing like our personality and like what happens to us in life. But I'm not like posting like if you want to grow your Instagram account, like here's how you do this. Like my audience is clients, so that's my take on it.
Okay, yeah, I love that because I'm actually trying to shift back to more hyper local. I'm gonna do more videos about Toronto, local restaurants and stuff. I kind of got caught up in a lot with it, trying to get on the broke agent shares and all that, and you know what I mean. I'm having fun again doing the local stuff and not caring about how well it does. And I'm getting a way new audience. And like again, I'm finding Instagram way more fun now than competing with every single person who's trying to be funny online now, right? When it was new, I got it. It was exciting, but yeah, no, I'm finding that the local stuff more. I'm having way more fun again,
And you
and fun.
still
Fun's good.
the bulk of my audience is other agents, which I'm totally cool with because I get a lot of referrals through Instagram. And other agents like that reach out and ask me questions and stuff. So I definitely there is value to that, but a lot of agents follow me because they just want to see how I market myself in Austin. So it's not like I'm teaching them like anything about real estate or social media or whatever, but they're just like, oh, that's a cool idea. I can use that in my city.
Absolutely. I
So
would definitely go to your page if I want more ideas how to do local stuff. Like you're a great example of that. You know what I mean? What was I gonna say? I still do my agent to agent content because I just like doing skits and it's kind of what I've grown into. And I do have a huge referral network for me anyway that I've grown through this. Um, but yeah, no, I'm just a lot of people are asking what to post when they're new and stuff, and I'm just like, listen, like, don't just try and do what everyone else is doing. You know what I mean? Do what works for you and do what's going to help you grow your business the fastest, not the biggest clout online.
yeah, and I
And
would
and I'm
say
not one to talk because I've been caught up in it a million times. You know what I mean? So
I would also say it takes an experiment to figure it out. Like I first started switching to like, okay, I'm gonna do this really dorky like 90s lip sync thing. And in whatever, I was just like, oh God, do I feel like I'm gonna look stupid or whatever? And I just put it out there and like friends, other agents were just like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And they loved it. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna lean into it more. And that's what I would say I'm mostly known for is like fun educational content and like friends that follow me, they're like, I love your videos, they're so funny, or like, I love your videos, I learned so much. And so it kind of goes back to my teacher background of like, I got to teach these kids stuff that they don't want to learn about. And so I got to make it like funny, I got to engage them somehow. So a lot of my stuff, I do try to pull in some humor, and that's what works well for me. But like last year, I
if
went
you're
to this,
being yourself, you're being
yeah,
you. You're not trying to be funny. You're just being yourself.
yeah. Just if I think it's funny, I'm like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna put it out
Yeah.
there.
But you have
Um,
a fun personality, so people want to see that and they'll will gravitate towards that.
yeah,
And
you just like, lean
yeah.
into whatever your personality is. I will say like a mistake I tried is sometimes you have to try out like what works. Like I said, I was doing the boring newscaster stuff. It was horrible and I hated it. And I'm like, I hate it because it's not me.
But
And
it also led you to you. So
yeah,
sometimes you have to do the cringe. I saw a video the other day. Do the cringe till you're comfortable to be you. Sometimes, like I said, it's a thing I always bring up in stand-up comedy. I used to be a stand-up comedian, and when we got in it, they always said, "Be the hack at first. Just get on
yeah,
stage and do the jokes. You're not gonna find your voice right away. You know what I mean? So go up there, be the hack, and your voice will come out. You know what I mean? Go up there and pretend you're Dave Chappelle, and eventually, and you're not Dave Chappelle, so you won't be nearly as successful, and you're gonna
right.
suck, but your voice will come out. So that's always something I've thought related big time to social media too. Not even just funny, but
Yeah, and
do
I was
right.
gonna say I did like learn one lesson last year. I went to this big real estate video blueprint conference, which is amazing. It's hosted by Katie Day and Tim Macy, and if you don't know them, but I went to that and I was just like inspired by all these ideas. And there was a guy that was killing it with vertical listing tours. He would just go into houses and like, here's what 350 gets you. Here's this, here's that. So I was like, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna like. So I got out there, I got a gimbal, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. Those like to this day, if I do a vertical listing tour, it is like the lowest performing thing on my page. Like I did one, the only ones I do are just from my listings now, but like they'll get less than 1,000 views. Like one of them, and I'm like, Like I spent money and time, like,
Because you
you
did it
know,
because you thought you had to, not because you wanted to.
yeah, I was just like, well, I liked the idea. I was like, that's easy. I could just go into all these new construction things and whatever. But it was kind of like a different thing that I was like not always doing. And like I said, I then post like a dumb dance video and it's like, okay, 11,000 views, people commenting, like asking all these things. And I was like, you know what? The vertical listing thing is just not my thing. Like other people are killing it with that. But I was like, I'm just going to do my own clients' videos.
I do
But
agree though. I see pages kill with that, but they do it consistently. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Like that's their pay. People follow them for that. They're not following you for that, right? So,
right. And
um,
so like if you figure it out, just lean in heavily. If you see like, hey, this is working and like on your insights and whatever, like these are my best performing reels. This is the ones that are getting the highest shares, the highest engagement, the most questions. That is what you need to stick with and just double down on it.
and Tim Macy and Katie Day are prime examples. They don't post viral stuff. They post hyper local stuff, and they both make tons of money. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're posting to be realtors and doing what works for them, and they're huge names than any viral agent I know. Like they're bigger than most viral agents I know. So and I've learned one thing over the years. I would rather a $10,000 check than a million views on one of my posts.
Right.
That $10,000 check can go a lot further than when I still gotta wake up tomorrow and do a million views. You know what I mean? It's still nice to have, but I want sales more than I want views, and that's one thing I'm
Absolutely.
definitely pulling back at again. I'm like, I want a lot of money, not a lot of views. So
Mortgage
Everyone
companies
does.
don't take
Yes.
views for mortgage payments, sadly.
yeah, views don't pay the bills, So
Yeah, for sure.
um, Kristen, did you want to? I know you had a lot of questions. Did you want to come in? People are kind of quiet today.
Yeah, we just
James,
having Mondays.
James, come on in here, buddy. James, you did some good stuff.
Well, you
I
know
don't know
what?
if
I
he's
did want
listening.
to ask you, how did you grow your local following? I know we kind of get stuck in a rut where agents follow agents, which are following agents, and then
Yeah.
I
it's
already kind of
Um,
asked that.
oh, did you?
No, I kind of did. I'm just being a jerk though.
So I would say if you're starting off and you're like, I have 0 followers or 100 followers, or whatever, first of all, follow every single person that you know. Like I originally just had a personal Instagram page that I was using when I got started, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a separate business account. Now it's a creator account. But I will follow like if there's a client that I start working with, and I have a referral, I'm gonna talk to someone today. Came through Instagram, but as soon as I talk to that client, I'm going to definitely ask them, are you guys on Instagram? Are you, and if they're like, no, I'm like, well, we have a YouTube channel. Like, I'm going to connect them with me on social. So I'm just like, here's my link. Or if they ask, I'm kind of curious, we're thinking about this or that. I'm like, I have a video about that. I send them a video. And so I'm always trying to get like people at open houses. I had like 3 people at an open house this weekend subscribe to my YouTube channel. They, were just like, I'm new to the area, whatever. And I'm like, you should check out my neighborhood tour. I did this, I did that. And then the same thing if they're on Instagram, I'm like, okay, I have a videos. Like I'm always trying to get new people to just start following me. And start off a course with like your past clients, your sphere, like the people that live around you, my neighborhood as well. I send out like postcards and stuff. I do like a geo farm, so I send out postcards, but a lot of times everything has a QR code that will either take them to like our website, our YouTube channel, or to our Instagram page. And so like there's always people that are like scanning, and I'll ask them, like if I get a listing, I'm like, how did you discover me? And they're like, oh, I got your cards and then I watch your videos. And so I'm like, okay, it's just everything you can do to drive people back. I used to say hashtags were a big deal, like they do not matter at all. I do tag myself like in smaller areas. So if I'm in Lakeway or I'm in BK, like all these little tiny suburbs, I will tag myself in those places. And I have had a few people tag me or like follow me just because I did use like a city hashtag or like a small suburb. But I would just say ask for it. Like, find, and then also like if people have a business, like if a lot of my clients like own a small business, like, yeah, I moved here and I'm starting up this new restaurant or whatever. I'm just like, oh my gosh, do you have an Instagram page? And it's like, okay, here's the page. So I'll follow their business. And then I will start sharing some stuff from their business to my account, which they appreciate. And a lot of times they'll repost it, So it's just trying to find like ways to show love to your local followers, their, small business owners too. That I would say that's just the main thing. And then again, the more you post about like Austin and what's happening in this market, you're going to attract more people that are searching for that.
Awesome.
No, Noelle, come in here for a second. I want to, because Noelle's a newer, not newer. You're what, 2 years in the business, Noelle?
Yep, cheers.
And you came from being a professor. What are some of the challenges you've had that are kind of similar to Shannon? How she came from being a teacher and stuff, right? Like, and I mean, finding your niche here without the structure that you're used to, kind of thing. Sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't know. Like I think like Shannon said, just jumping into an industry where you were really just sort of left to fend for yourself originally was really hard. But I also joined a really great brokerage where I had great support. And then I'm a bit of a self-starter, so I also put out lots of feelers and tentacles and made friends very quickly with lots of other realtors. So I'm also not afraid to ask questions. So yeah, for me, it was just kind of not knowing where to start. And for me, doing Brian Buffini's 100 Days to Greatness as a brand new realtor was really great tracks to run in that just kind of, for the first time, made me feel like I had some direction, and introduced me to a CRM and got me started on the right foot with managing my database and contacting people. And yeah, so
And that's
those
a
were
form
kind
of
of,
coaching in a way. You know what I mean? Like a program,
it
something.
100% is. Yeah. Yeah, it is for sure. It's small group coaching, and my brokerage thankfully was really supportive and has subsidized a lot of coaching programs for us and is really big on teaching and training. So I do feel really blessed.
And Noelle is someone, like she's not far from me. She's what, probably 2 hours from me. And if I have a lead there, I'm gonna think of Noelle first. I'm not gonna think of the biggest agent out there. I'm like, because me and Noelle have built this rapport. She's constantly been engaging with me for years. Me and Noelle are friends now. You know what I mean? She sent me a referral. We sent each other Christmas cards, and like I said, that's been way more important to me than just how many freaking houses you sold. I don't care about that. Way rather give Noelle, because I know her. I know people would love Noelle, and be happy, would look good on me if I had a referral in that area. So to me, it's such an important thing as who you are and what you're presenting online as well, not just how many houses you sold. I
Thanks,
will get
Sean.
you I will get you a referral, whether I die trying. The only reason I didn't send you my
Saying
brother
that
is
for a
because
while.
his boss's husband was a realtor. That's the only reason I could, but I will send you one.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. And I, like Shannon said too, I want people to truly know me, and I hope that my social media really lets people get to know who I am and the things that are important to me. And Sean knows that I would care for clients, and I'm not the highest roller in my city. I'm so far from it. But that's important to me, that people know that I would take great care of
Sometimes the
people.
highest rollers just send their lackeys, and they don't get the best. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? They don't get the best. What should
Different.
they say? Yeah, the best job. I don't know. I can't speak today. It's Monday. But Noelle would give great customer service. Know that. I'd be proud to give them to Noelle. Shane, do you have anything to say on that before I ask someone else?
Yeah, I mean, I would also say being yourself, but also I said earlier, like I want people to feel a sense of like joy, or like, I don't know, I want them to enjoy my page. And I would say no matter what is happening in the market, like the last 2 years in Austin have been really hard. Like our prices, they were already hard. They shot up like 75, almost 80% in like a couple of years, which is insane. Then we had like a huge correction that came down like 20%. So it's just been like this crazy ride. And I'll see sometimes like when it was multiple offers and like crazy, 50 offers on a home and whatever, that people were just posting all the like, oh, it's so hard to buy a house, like, and posting all that stuff. And it's like, we were cranking out sales. Like we were just like cranking out tons of buyers because I figured out solutions. And so I would post so many videos of like, if you need to move into a house in Austin, but you do not want to pay over asking price, there are 2 solutions that you have to do. And I would talk about like do new construction where there's no wait list, or do like an off market type of deal. And then all of my clients that were doing that, I would just tell their story. Okay. They did not want to pay over asking. They did not want to do this. So they got this incredible deal over here. And I just kept like repeating it. And I was getting referrals because people were like, well, you seem to actually be able to sell houses over there because I heard it's really hard. And then now it's like, okay, the market kind of like tanked our volumes way down. We sold way less, homes overall across the city, but we still did a lot, and so it's always like, okay, the price of your home is not what it was, but you still have this amount of equity and you're getting a massive discount on this side. So it's always like talking to the person, because people don't move because of the market, they move because of their life. So if you can't just have that assumption of like it's a bad market, so no one's moving. Like there's millions of people moving. I moved, everything, it had to do with elderly parents. It's usually kids, it's usually like job situations. So people move because of their life. And if you can just remember that on everything you post, like it doesn't matter what's happening in the market, people are moving. What's the biggest pain point and the challenge in this market? And I'm going to show you all the ways of how we're going to help you fight against that. And here's how you can still get to where you need to be. And that's been kind of like my mindset the last few years, because it has been really hard over here. And then again, because people see that, you're more likely to have that agent going, okay, I'm going to think of her because she's saying different stuff than the other agents in that market, because she seems to still be doing really great, even though it's hard.
And consumers will see that because it's approachable solutions to problems. Whereas
Yeah.
the biggest mistake that I see on social media is a lot of realtors literally like scaring and attacking people. They're like, if you don't buy now, you're an idiot. It's like, screw you. Like, what? So you can get commission? Like, it's so off-putting to people when you do the scare tactic.
Yeah.
Instead of giving like, this is the benefit of buying now, and you know what I mean, the negative, you know what I mean, this is the benefit. I want to help you. I don't want to just tell you you're an idiot if you don't buy right now. Like
Honestly,
that's
like
so unapproachable, and every realtor does that. Shame on you.
I think back to when I bought my first house. I had no idea what was going on in the market. I was not following interest rates. I did not care what interest rates were. All I cared was that I was getting a good rate for what was available at the time. I knew what the prices were like because I was watching realtor.ca. And as long as I could afford it, I was ready to buy a house. That was in 2007 when things were like crashing. I had no idea. And most first time buyers don't. So if you're not
Yeah.
constantly being negative on your social media, a lot of people don't even know what's going on and just follow what you're
Honestly,
saying.
like all the chaos of the lawsuits that we have here with like NAR, like all these realtors' feeds were blowing up and stuff. And I'm like, I've never had one person even question, I heard there's a lawsuit. What's going on? Like no one freaking cares. And then he's a consumer. And so I'm like, if my clients are never asking me this, I pull most of my content ideas from what happened like the week before and like what's happening right now. I kind of just pull from real life, like what are the questions I'm getting asked. And so I'm like, unless the clients are really talking about it, I don't bring it up, and so I feel like there's so much drama in our industry and stuff. And it's like, don't get caught up on that. Think about you're the young person that just wants to get a home. That's
Yeah.
it. Like what does that person need?
People hate realtors enough as it is. Believe me. Every public forum I go to, if I have an opinion, they go, "You scumbag realtor." I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's our fault
Uh,
the price is one.
Vlad has a. Oh, I thought he had a question. You saying have a good weekend. Thanks, Vlad, for coming in. Vlad's my
Um,
buddy.
on Facebook, Rebecca Wendleck said, I love Shannon Mangin's content and loved following the story of her new home. And she's
Oh,
not in the Zoom today, so I thought I'd check.
Rebecca, come
okay.
on in here next time. I want to hear your questions. Who else is in here?
People
I was gonna.
watch.
Sorry, someone just say something. Am I hearing things?
I heard it too, but I might have imagined it. I don't know.
Who else can we call up here? Richard. Um, Richard, do you want to come up here?
Sure.
Let's put Richard on the spot. What are 5 things you want people to see when they come to your page? Because Richard has a quite an engaging page. You know what I mean? Like he's doing very consumer friendly stuff, agent friendly stuff. What experience? What are 5 experiences that you want people to come when they come to your page or experience? Shut up. You know what I mean? Shut up, Shannon. Just kidding.
Um, a lot like Shannon, just a little less local. I'm not as local as I'd probably like to be, just because being in San Francisco, like I am purposely not hyper local. I will start moving that way a little bit more on side content, but it's because San Francisco is a very, very difficult market to show up as hyper local. So my goal was more let I am agent focused because I want to be the person that every other agent in the country thinks about when they think about San Francisco. So it has been purposely agent focused. So when I post things, I want to be relatable. I kind of want people to laugh. I'm not necessarily trying to be super funny like Sean or Derek or
But you want to
somebody.
be, you want them to be entertained.
I want to be, yeah.
Business.
So my parodies, I feel like I'm doing educational parodies that are, and I add the entertainment more in the video than in the lyrics to the song. So if I do have some that I'm just, maybe once a month I'm putting out something that, hey, I think this is kind of funny. Like tomorrow is going to be a little funny. Last week's was kind of funny. But I do feel I'm one of the few people that's doing parodies where it is educational content. Like nobody else is writing parodies about contingencies or tax write-offs, or so I do want to be able to educate people, entertain them, have them know
You
that
just
I'm
do 3. 5's hard. I can't do 5 for my page either.
so
Um,
I
what
love you on your
but you've
page,
had
by
some
the way.
businesses reach out to you to write song parodies for you. Haven't you had local businesses for them?
Yeah, I've had a couple. I've had a few other agents reach out to have me write and record stuff for them. And then that is kind of a side business I'm working to start now, just because I know a lot of people there when we go into any of these masterminds, any of these groups, the one gap that everybody's looking for is like, how do I get started? How do I find my voice? Like, I don't want everybody to do parodies, but I can sit down and talk to you for an hour and figure out a strategy like, hey, this is what you're interested in. Let's start making video, like realize what your content buckets are. So
This is not necessarily directed at you. I'm saying, say other people wanted to follow in your footsteps and do song parody kind of things. They have musical talent, and they want to do that. Do you think, what if they did local businesses and wrote jingles for them? Do you think that could be a fun way to like hyper local
possibly
stuff?
to reach out and do, yeah,
Hyper local stuff.
maybe I need to start doing that. I was just talking to my wife the other day. We're driving and we heard a jingle for a commercial. And I'm just like, I could write these all day, every day. Like,
Yeah, but if you just start doing that, they would love you, and your community would be like, "Oh, I heard Rich's jingle about this restaurant." They associate you with that. I'm just
that's not a
thinking
bad
about
idea.
hyper local stuff. If someone did want to, I'm not telling you to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if someone wanted to follow in your footsteps and has kind of some sort of musical ambitions or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, this year, my big goal is to step up my production value of the song so I can go out to other places and say, I can create this for you. I've got my studio,
Yeah.
I've got everything going. Let's create content for you.
But also building the following with that would be very beneficial for you. You know what I mean? They would see your following. So again, like you'd want to do both with that.
And again, that's kind of why I grew the agent to agent, because now I feel I can go to sellers and say, look, I've got 4,000 followers. These are 4,000, 90% of them are agents in other markets. So if I'm posting something, a lot of agents from other markets are going to see what I'm posting about your property, the listing videos I make, and whatnot.
Sorry, Shannon. We like to have just people engaged. I wasn't trying to like steer it away from you. I want to hear your opinion on that, actually.
No, I love what Rich is doing. I think if you were trying to go hyper local, definitely, like I said, don't make the mistake of what I did where I was like, I'm gonna try these vertical listing tour, like, and it just didn't jive. So I think you definitely, like, music is such a huge part of your personality and you're so good at it. Like, but I mean, I don't know, you might be able to tie it in with like a musical listing video, a musical. I mean, like I said, if you're aiming just the big thing is like, who is your ideal audience? Like, where do they live in the Bay Area? I know that's like such a huge area, but I mean, I don't know. I would just kind of focus on like, who are you aiming for, more sellers? Are you aiming for more buyers? That kind of thing. And just keep leaning into your songwriting. I mean, the business thing, I think that could be very cool. But then at the end of the day, it's like you also want people to know mostly that you're selling houses. instead of like all the random, you know, like things. So I always think like some local spotlights, you know, like a weekend fun thing, but I would also say for anyone, like your page should be obviously like 100% clear you're the agent first, you know?
Thanks.
Come on down to Chuck E. Cheese and then come and buy a house, please. There you go. You got both. I got your back, bro.
Perfect.
Well, has their
Can I
hand
ask a
up.
question? Yeah. Shannon, I was just looking at your Instagram and you've got over 9,000 followers now. How do you, what do you think were the things that you've done that were most instrumental in growing that following?
Mostly consistency, I would say, is like the biggest thing. It just kind of snowballs. And then just interacting with people, making shareable content is also huge. So a lot of times, like the very hyper local stuff, like if I'm telling a client story, it's not as easily shared, but the client will always share it. So I always try to tag my clients in the videos that I put them in. They will share it. I'll pick up like the mom, their brother, like I'll pick up the locals that are part of their family that follow me, which is huge. It's not going to get me like tons of stuff, more of the funnier, trendy things. You know, if I'm like, here's what it's like to buy a home in Austin, I do something that is probably not as going to be as shareable. But if I'm like, here's what it's like buying a home right now, more agents will share that, you know, because it's a little more generic, you know. So sometimes like my funny realtor stuff could be a little more generic that gets shared a lot. And I pick up a lot of agents following me, which I'm fine with because I like referrals. But I would say tagging your clients, tagging the neighborhood, tagging, you know, get them following you. And then when they post, you always pick up their friends, family, and then I get like a lot of client referrals too, you know, where it's like, you know, I get the daughter following, and then all of a sudden, like the grandparents now just bought a house and they're like, we love all your videos. And my daughter told me to follow you. And, you know, and so that's it. It's mostly word of mouth. And then, like I said, occasionally, not to do everything that way, but like the generic funny stuff is easily shareable. Some other people are crushing it with, hyper local, like showing like the coolest spots in Austin, like 5 things, you know, 5 Austin places you need to see this summer or whatever. That is also very hyper local, more likely to get shared, you know, stuff like that, and get a local following that way.
If you're doing that, by the way, you don't need to hire a huge film crew and go to the locations. Do green screen and just people are spending so much time. Like, do that if you want to, of course. I'm not saying it's bad. Like my buddy Wes does, and he crushes it. They do great, but I'm saying you don't need to do all that. To
Just
get.
steal some photos off the internet. I've done that
I'm just saying, if you want to do
before.
a simple way, I'm not saying one's better or worse. Everything before everyone yells at me that I'm stupid and I'm wrong. I'm just saying a lot of people don't know where to begin with that. They're nervous to go ask the restaurant. Like, just do it. You don't need their permission if you're just boosting them and saying it's a great restaurant. Just green screen and post it. You could bust those out a lot faster and inexpensively.
Yeah.
Um, sorry.
I just said thanks.
Oh, we're at the hour mark anyway. Does anyone else have any questions or any final thoughts? We usually try and keep it around an hour, but if everyone has questions, of course, we'll get them answered. Okay, Shannon, that was excellent. Put your handle in the comment section so that we can follow you. We will have some posts for you too on our page coming soon. So yeah, we'll tag you with those too. And thank you so much for coming out. That was awesome.
Oh, this is super fun. Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
And what's the name of your show? Normal People.
Oh, yeah. So once the second Tuesday of every month, I do a mastermind called Instagram for Normal People. It's always like focused on a specific topic, but I have like a guest or someone that will come in and we're talking about like one specific thing. So I have Vanessa Riley, she's with Domo Realty, coming on in a couple of weeks in February, and she's going to be talking about like writing captions for listings that like really like get clients excited and like capture emotions and stuff. She just does like an incredible job of storytelling with listings. The month after that in March, I have Alyssa Kernut, who is super hyper local. Like she is going viral.
We have her coming on soon. Yeah, she's
Oh, okay. But yeah, she's got stuff that's going viral, just showcasing like things about living in her city. And so yeah, every month we have like a different focus on, you know, just to help people get ideas. I feel like anytime you can walk out with like one fresh idea you can try, then it's worth it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna steal your poll idea for the house thing, 100%. So I love that. And the stories.
go for it. Yeah.
That's the first time me and Chris were ever called normal too. So we were very happy with that.
I also want to do a Barbie parody. So I was very jealous of your I'm just Sean, I'm just Ken.
That's the king of Barbie parodies. You can't compete with that.
Oh. I need my own parody song.
Rich will help you with that. Yeah, I think that's the only music.
I was like, that was like
I asked you about half the Richard. They're a lot of work. That's the only musical parody I'm ever doing. That took a lot out of me. And I didn't even sing it. That's the best part.
that was like the best thing I'd seen like probably all year. I was just like, this is hilarious.
Oh, I know. I put a lot in. Like I spent weeks on that one. I green screened everything. Yeah, that was a fun one to make. I'm not gonna lie. I have Buying Bad coming. This will be my biggest one coming soon. It's a Breaking Bad parody. So
Yeah,
stay tuned for that.
that's hilarious.